how to properly educate your kids, so.
Hey, what is up, everyone? So, I was asked recently, what do we do? And I figured, let's just put it in a video, because when I actually wrote it out, there's 8 different things that we do, and there's so many ways that you as an individual or a family can get involved if you want to level up and have an awesome life, all right? So, I got Jess here, I got the kids here, and we're gonna get it all into a video. So first, I'll explain the Self-Perfected group and what that's all about, and if you're passionate about self-development, you can get involved in that, okay? So, here it is. All right, so part 1 of that is we have a community of people, about 2,000 of us around the world, that are really passionate about self-development for real. We call it self-perfection. And when I say the word perfection, I don't mean perfectionism. I'm not claiming that I'm perfect or, you know, we're a group of perfect people who have nothing to work on. No, rather, if you actually look up the definition of perfection in the dictionary, it means to become the best it can be. So I look at that and I said, hey, I want my life to be the best it can be. I want my wife to have that. I want my kids to have that. I want my community to have that. So the Self-Perfected group is all built around that. And now how you could get involved with that is it's a free group. We have either online ways to connect or in person, and most people do both. Online is a Facebook group, awesome resources in there. You can connect with like-minded people around the world. And then on Friday nights, we do a hangout. And that hangout is a way for us to come together and build at the end of each week. So a lot of people get through Friday. I'm sure you can relate to this. You had a stressful week. You just want to tune out, maybe go drinking, just watch Netflix, you know, and relax. Don't get me wrong, relaxing can be helpful after a long week. However, what if you closed your week out strong and you're with, you know, 60, 70 other people who all wanted you to level up, and we talk about, you know, stimulating conversation, we go deep. We have just an amazing community on there. That's the hangout, so that's a very easy way to get involved. Also, I'll tell you something quick about the group. Years ago, we were kind of joking that it would be this awesome dating pool, because there was a lot of, you know, people who are interested in the same kind of thing. And for the single people, it was like, hey, don't you want your partner to be like-minded, you know, into the growth mindset, that kind of thing. And funny enough, we have a ton of couples that have actually met through the group. Some are now married, some have kids. And what's so cool about this for me is now I have friends for my kids that are like-minded, and we visit each other when we travel and all that. And then that's the bigger picture here. So yeah, like shout out Drake and Christine. They met literally through the group on the Hangouts, and now they're married and have kids together. Owen and Chantel as well. And it's the most friendly, inviting community. The one thing we have though is we are gonna hold you to a higher standard, and we'll do it in creative ways, fun ways, but we do want you to be the best you can be. And so if you just like mediocrity, you probably aren't even watching this video. If you do wanna level up, this is the spot. The other part of the Self-Perfected group though is we do annual events. So we did a big event in San Diego 3 years ago. And then the last one was in Miami. We have huge plans for the upcoming events as well. But this is, you know, picture 100 to 200 people, families, it's kid friendly, all that, but all coming together at some of the nicest locations in the world. We get great rates at hotels because we have such a cool group and we're really good at negotiating hotels. And so you can have your family vacation with people who are into this kind of thing. And so if you're interested in that, you can message me about it. I'll have resources below this video so you can get involved with that, okay? Second part now is education. Now, it's very similar to the self-development, but I want to go in depth into what education is. So with education, this is specifically about raising genius kids. That's a theme in everything I do, myself, my wife, and we have some amazing learning tools. There's some kids in our community that are, just off the top of my head, the ones I can think of. Max is one of the kids, he just turned 8. This kid is straight up reading. He can read multiple Harry Potter books in a day, and he can rattle off the information on it. But then he also goes and does cool things around his house, right? His parents have a milking cow, and he rides ATVs, and you know he plays with toys and has siblings and stuff. So he's not just some nerdy kid who reads books all day long. Yet this kid can learn. And there's another girl, Seneca. She is at age 6. We have a video of her literally reading a high school level science fiction book. And so raising genius kids, I'm not kidding when I say that, it's literally, we have learning tools that can speed up the whole learning process. And you can do a lesson for a kid in about 10 to 20 minutes a day. so they can spend the rest of their time going and doing whatever they want to do. And so education is another really important part of everything we do. And now that'll lead me into the third part. So education, not just for kids, but now this is adult, ongoing learning. Okay, as an adult, right, you realize the state of the world, how there's AI coming in to disrupt a lot of jobs. You have Elon Musk talking about having 3 robots for every human. And as an adult, you gotta keep learning. Like, I know on some level I'm sure you read books, listen to podcasts, things like that. If you wanna be able to take any book you read and get it directly into that knowledge bank so you know it, you have what's called unconscious competence. You can learn things, you can unlearn things, you can become a super genius, literally, as an adult. That's the third thing that we do, and we're really, really good at this. Typically, there's 2 areas where people really want to thrive, and I'm living testament of it. You saw my wife earlier in the video. We're living testament of this, okay? So the first area people want to thrive in is relationships. And the second one is typically money or business, financial success, okay? So first things first, let me tell you about this. I used to constantly run into issues in my relationships, whether with a significant other, even if it was just business partnerships, but my relationships, they would always get to a certain level of goodness, and then I would sabotage it. Something would happen, there would be a miscommunication, and it was usually something that was a past wound of mine, like a past, like traumatic thing that happened. The first time you ever got your heart broken, or the first time you ever had a partner or someone close to you lie to you or something, right? We have this stuff we're holding on, and then it comes out in our relationships with people around us. So you can use these learning tools that I've been telling you about to actually deprogram that so it doesn't keep coming up. Now that creates a whole new level for your relationships, and you can build a really, really effective relationship based on real agreements and really supporting your partner and those closest to you. So relationships is a really big part of this, but the other part is then money. As an entrepreneur, I used to struggle with money, right? It would be an up and then a down, and an up and a down. And I'm sure many of you can relate to this. Feeling like at the end of the month, there was never quite enough money, or even I would have a breakthrough month, but then I'd be worried about losing the money. So 5 years ago, when I found these learning tools, I actually started with myself. I wanted to be a product of it. So I used the tool and I reprogrammed myself to become very good at making money. I became extremely good at e-commerce. So I had a drop shipping company, and I programmed myself to be able to handle making a lot of money with that. I was making 6 figures a month for a while with that. And that was amazing. But then I wanted to get out of it because it was really soul sucking. Like, I didn't particularly like what I was doing. I was drop shipping pillows from China to people all around the world. So interesting business model, but I programmed myself to be good at that. So then we took that money, and now we have our homestead, we run a local community, and all the things I'm explaining in this video. And so money is an amazing thing. When you have a lot of it though, it doesn't solve all your problems. But being able to make a lot of money, I can tell you countless stories as well of other people in our community who have used these same tools to double, triple their income. If you're familiar with who Alex Hermosi is, he runs something called the School Games. One of the guys in our community who comes to our meetups and uses these tools literally just won the School Games. And he has one of the most highest recurring revenue in the whole School Games because he programmed himself for success. And I can, again, tell you story after story on that, but that's another thing we're extremely passionate about and very involved in is ongoing adult education for real. Not just memorizing little facts and statistics, but I'm saying fundamental change. We also have business opportunities. Obviously, this is not for everybody, but if you are looking for either a full-time position or a side hustle where you can make good money in disrupting the education system, because education is a $1.3 trillion a year industry. If you're looking to make an extra $2K to $5K a month, and you can make a lot more than that, we do have local positions available. And if you're in a different state or a different country as well, there are certain offices we have in different places. So if you are looking as well for a side hustle or you want to know how to make money while having an amazing purpose as well, you can reach out about that. Now, part 5. This is our local mastermind. So if you're local to us, we live in Minnesota, but I also have groups in 33 cities around the world that essentially we run a mastermind. If you're not familiar with that term, basically what it is, it comes from a guy named Napoleon Hill. And he wrote about this at length. He wrote a lot about success, and you might have heard about his book called Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich is actually a watered down version. It's not I'd say read it once, but read it with a grain of salt. His real book is called The Law of Success in 16 Lessons, and it's huge, but that book explains a lot of this. So a mastermind is when you have yourself and another person, up to about 12 people, and it could even be bigger, but where you're all on the same page and you're all rooting for each other, you're supporting each other. What happens is when you're in a spirit of harmony, you work together, and your mind actually creates another mind, a greater mind, that gives you a lot of inspiration, energy, insights, support, and all that. That group, so the mastermind, we run a mastermind here in the Bloomington area. So if you're local to Minnesota, you probably know where that is, right? A little bit south of Minneapolis. And we've run it pretty much every week or every other week for the past 4 years. And it kind of started as a book club for those of us who are passionate about, podcasts, just self-development in general. And now we've run it, and it's fun. We've literally had couples that met there as well. They now are married and have kids. We have people that have come in and then their business, triples or quadruples. And then we just have other people who they just want to be better. They like being part of the community. So all that we ask is if you come to one of our local events, you can message me about it and I'll send you the address. All that we ask is that you're open-minded and you want to come to it from a spirit of giving instead of just trying to come pitch your thing or whatever you have. No one likes that. But if you come to the events and over time you resonate with people, of course, you might make your best friend there. You might meet your future business partner there. So that's our local community, and we're consistently doing new things here. Locally, we have a lot of cool events planned for the new year, and I always have an event scheduled for that. Now, 6, this is the bigger vision with the local community. So I want you to picture this, all right? This is my goal over the next 1 to 2 years, might be 3 years, but it's finding a actual physical location for this, not our home, but somewhere a little closer to the cities where we can now have our headquarters. I want you to picture this headquarters. So it might be some old country club right now that's, just out of commission and we end up buying that building. It might be some sort of just cool office space or whatever, but where we own it. And then it has a co-working space, a podcast studio, might have a gym there, definitely have some sort of a coffee shop, but then an event center, and it's our proper spot. This is the hangout spot. So there will be people who will be there, every day working and, working on these similar projects that I'm talking about here, but also people who just want to come network, come hang out. And then we do our meetups every Saturday. That is going to be our headquarters for this. And then this leads me to part 7, which is that big vision, okay? So my wife and I have been together for 5 years now. We started our relationship based on the desire to really make an impact in the world. And so part 7 of this is really explaining to you the bigger vision to see if you resonate with this. Now I'm looking at the state of the world. I'm looking at the fact that you have Reid Hoffman, the guy who created LinkedIn. So he's a multi-billionaire. Some say he's one of the smartest businessmen of the world. He came out a couple months ago saying in 2034, he predicts all 9-to-5 jobs are going to be extinct. Okay? That's pretty intense. You have the World Economic Forum and you have all these different groups that, put out stats and their predictions. And a lot of them are saying that a vast majority of our economy is going to be disrupted over the next 5 to 15 years from AI, from automation, from robotics. You have, all this technology is kind of getting out of control. What happens to society when, let's say everyone who's an Uber driver, everyone who's a truck driver, they lose their job within a 6-month span? That's a lot of unrest. That's a lot of people freaking out and scrambling, and they got to put food on the table. Part of my goal and my bigger mission is to have a landing pad for society. So as that happens, we can help people get re-educated, re-skilled, retooled, so that then they're able to go out there and be a really effective member of society, and they can learn how to be entrepreneurial. So that's a big part of it as well, is that kind of re-education piece. And then we also are looking at the fact that right now, I don't care which party you vote for or if you're independent, there's a huge shift happening in politics because a lot of us tend to not trust our politicians. A lot of them are bought off. A lot of them they're not really serving the people. And so the long term is we have a lot of us here locally and also in cities around the world of people that we trust. We agree to the same principles. We agree to the same vision. And the people who don't actually really want to get into politics, those are the people I think need to be in politics. And so to me, it sounds like not very fun to go and deal with that stuff all day, but I know I'm trustworthy, and I know I have a whole network of trust around here. And so potentially it's us running for office, running for mayor, running for governor, running for state senate or house, running even at the federal level. That's the way bigger picture down the road. And it might just even be too, I'm not saying you watching this need to become a politician, but I am saying, hey, imagine if we bought the local, newspaper, and we maybe got some of the TV stations, or how Elon Musk bought Twitter, turned it into X. I'm saying when you have a big enough group with enough people who know how to make money and also have a lot of connections, imagine this. Imagine we buy the state newspaper here, and instead of putting a bunch of fear-based headlines on it, we're actually like teaching people and educating people, and it's more of a force of positive and good in the world instead of just this doom and gloom thing that goes out every day. Right? Or where I live, we have a place called the Mall of America, and I think it's still the biggest mall in America. Imagine if we had such influence, we could get a section of the mall and put it all towards like actual healthy, organic food. And there's, places with red light saunas and biohacking and an education center, that kind of thing. That's the bigger vision, is I want us to collectively reinvent how we see the city and how we see our community, so that way we can really thrive. So by the time my kids are 18, or by the time, let's say over the next 10, 20 years, it's an extremely inspiring place to be, and then we can really look at making it be the best world. And I know this is gonna take us decades, but hey, I'm putting this in the video so it can plant that seed. So, another big thing we do, and I'll just talk about this in a moment, is we have a homestead. Meaning, we have our home, we have animals, we have a food forest, we do gardening, and Jessica is doing some amazing workshops. We also homeschool our kids, and part of that is building a really awesome community for these guys to have friends that are like-minded and they're learning all the time. So Jess, tell them about your workshops and your vision for all of our homesteading events.
Yeah, so we like to do quarterly festivals that go along with the seasons. And with that comes lots of educational points about how to do homesteading through each season and what are different skill sets that you can learn. That we, not only do I teach, but I also like to bring in local people who are kind of experts in the field so that they can help share their knowledge with the community as well. Just really focusing in on community and education, because it's beyond, it's not like your typical homeschooling. I would say it's more like home education, like educating from home, because we're not just teaching the same curriculums that they teach at school. It's like, no, let's do life skills. But not only that, like, let's really empower our kids to have the ability to learn anything, and not just this set amount of information that they have to memorize. So we're really excited about that, really making things super practical. Unsettling of America is a book that I recently was introduced to. And it's really cool. Just the concept of specialized skills really disempowers the individuals. So empowering you to develop skills, life skills that contribute to your family, and also empowerment in how to properly educate your kids. So
this last bit as well, you heard from Jessica, my wife, explaining this. The homesteading is so important because we'll have families that come out to our place, and they'll come out for a Saturday event or something like that. And they get to, especially families with kids, and then the kids all get to hang out with other kids who have cool parents, and they're talking about books they're reading. We're treating the kids actually as equals, not talking down to the kids, but actually empowering them and lifting them up. And then you also have a lot of cool stuff at our homestead. Like in the summer, we have a pretty epic garden going on. We have a food forest. So one of the hangouts we did, we all planted fruit trees. And then everyone who was part of that, for the rest of their life, they can have as much fruit as they want from those trees. I mean, within reason, right? And so it's like you have these kids now having an experience here where they plant a tree, and we explain to them, hey, realistically for probably 3 to 4 years, not much is going to come from it. A little bit every year. But then year 5, 6, 7, this will be abundant. And then I even have friends who don't have kids yet, but they're helping plant the trees, seeing their future and saying, wow, when I have kids, they'll be able to enjoy this. And then we're building a blueprint for this. So if you're local and you want to have a homestead in the next 5, 10 years, you can learn from all of our mistakes we've made. Like, for example, we bought ducks before we got chickens, okay? never making that mistake again, right? They have great eggs, you know, they're fun, they got little personalities and everything, but there's just a lot of lessons we've learned, and our goal is to always pay that forward and give and give and give and create amazing environments and communities so that way all of us can thrive. So our homestead, really the reason we got this place is because we want to have even more of those events and that community building and give people a really impactful experience. Like I remember another kid here, they learned we had chickens. It was a cold night and I was like, we could go out there and go visit them. It was cold. They're like, yeah. They were so pumped. They held a chicken. They got to pick up a chicken egg, and then we went inside and actually they got to make the egg and eat it. And it's like, it might seem so small, but those are the kind of experiences where a kid can actually experience abundance for real. Abundance isn't just with money. No, that's part of it. Abundance is also having enough food, having nutritious food, having great community, having an abundance of laughing and enjoying yourself. Like every day, and especially when we have events, I laugh like a lot of the time. And my life didn't used to be like this. Like I've engineered this intentionally over the past 10, 12 years. Now I'm seeing the result of it, okay? And so that's my wish for you as well. So if you resonate with any of this, 1 through 8, could be all of them, might just be one of them, reach out and I'll put my link in my calendar and I do a little 20-minute connection call with people. And it's a way you can book a time and we can just chat. I wanna hear about you. I wanna hear about what you're working on. If you're interested in any of these things we talked about as well, the things I put in the video, I'll share that with you. And the final thing that I do, I'd say this is kind of a bonus, it's like part 9, is I built a pretty serious network over the past 12 years of being an entrepreneur. When I was early on, back when I was living out in Boston, I would go to these meetups they're right in between MIT and Harvard. And I felt like I was totally out of my league. It was like, they called it startup, what they call it, Venture City. And it was a startup heavy place. And I would just go there. And one of the guys told me something I'll never forget. He said, over the years, you're gonna meet a lot of people. I recommend write down their name and write down what they do and what they care about. And over the years, you'll have a lot of contacts. And then, once you have all those contacts, guess what? You may not end up doing something with that person, but maybe you can introduce them. Maybe you know someone who's great at marketing, and then you know someone who's writing a book. And then you can introduce them, now you're that connector. And I've been around long enough to know that karma is real. You give out enough good things in the world, good things come back to you. And so that's also how I built my life. So maybe there's nothing in particular in this video you resonate with yet, or maybe there's a handful of it, but maybe you know someone or you're trying to meet someone as well. And if you have the same intention I do, you want to see the world be a better place, I'm more than happy to open doors as well. All right, so that in conclusion is what we're about, and we're only building up from here, and I look forward to seeing you getting involved. All right, see ya.